Welcome to Ask the Expert, a daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. Ask any question in the comments or use the hashtag QBATE on Twitter. If you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and businesses experts are on hand 24/7. During the live session, we'll be running a poll, so please do engage with it and I'll reveal the results at the end. My name is Jason Atherton, and I'm a chef, hence why I'm dressed in a chef's jacket, ready for my work after this. I started my career at the age of 17. I moved to London from the north of England to live in a youth hostel to work on Margaret Thatcher's YTS scheme back in the late 80s and built my career from scratch. I worked extremely hard, 18-hour days, 6 days a week, with only one day off to be able to achieve my dreams. For me, dreams are extremely important. When you're a young person in any trade, I think having a dream is your currency, something to strive for, something to dream about, something to chase. And having that long-term goal and objective is extremely important in someone's life when things around you, like COVID-19 at the moment, can sort of pull you away and drive you in a different direction. Having that one focused dream is really, really important. I was very lucky to work my way through some of the best kitchens in the country. I worked for Pierre Kaufman at Le Claire, who then went on to win 3 Michelin stars. I'm very fortunate after that to go and work for Nico Ladenis, who was probably one of the greatest restaurateurs and chefs this country's ever produced. Also was 3 Michelin star. After that, I went to work for Marco Pierre White. Again, working extremely laser focused for probably one of the best young talented chefs who's ever worked in this country, if not the world. I then went to work in France at one of the oldest 3-star Michelin restaurants in the world, a restaurant called Le Bourge de l'Eau in Alsace for Marc Hambelin. I then came home for a little while and worked with Stephen Terry, one of the greatest culinary minds of my generation, and he taught me about how not just to work in the kitchen, but also how to run a very busy service. When we worked at a restaurant called Coast, and the owner was Oliver Payton, the judge of Great British Menu, and also one of our great restaurateurs who had amazing vision of what a restaurant should be like, not just from a chef's point of view, because we get wrapped up in the food, but also from a restaurateur's point of view of what makes a great restaurant to be fun and exciting to be part of. And I'd never been exposed to that before. So I stayed with Stephen for a couple of years at Coast, doing up to 200 people for lunch and 350 for dinner, when previous to that, I was only focused on doing 30, 40, 50 covers and making the food as incredible as possible, which is not always the greatest business model. So this restaurant was purely about having fun, eating great food, but also being packed out. And this restaurant turning, I think back then, this was like early 90s, this restaurant was doing 8-9 million a year, which was an incredible amount of money. Then I left Coast, went to work for Fran Adria in El Bui in Spain, probably the most creative chef I've ever worked for. And that was quite an incredible experience, because I'd never worked in a team where creativity was our number one focus. It was unbelievable to work for Fran Adria. After coming back from Spain, I was snapped up by Gordon Ramsay, and probably the most important part of my life for 12 years, working alongside Gordon when Gordon had really just started to take off. Gordon became this incredible, not just chef, but everything he did, he had the Midas touch. So when he opened up Royal Hospital Road, this restaurant became a 3 Michelin star restaurant, one of the youngest chefs on the planet to do so. To watch his work ethic and to watch everything around him had to be perfect. When he was doing his cookbooks, they had to become #1 bestsellers. When he was doing his TV shows, they had to be the most watched TV show on TV. When he was, everything he did had to be the best. And we were involved in so many different projects. I was very fortunate that I rose quite quickly through the Gordon Ramsay firmament. I got asked to go and live in Dubai, and Gordon sent me to Dubai in 2001. It was never, and I'd been to the Middle East before. The #1 question I asked Gordon was, can I have a beer after work there? I thought it was a dry country. And he said, of course you can have a beer. Let's go for a weekend. Let's go check it out. See what you think. And if you like it, then take the job. So we flew out, had the most amazing weekend. Saw this incredible city, what was rising, this metropolis, what was rising out of the desert like some sort of magic trick. It was quite unbelievable to see how somebody as visionary as Sheikh Maktoum was building this city, what was just built for tourism and business. It was quite incredible. Spent 3.5 very happy years in Dubai. Met my wife there. We got married in Jebel Ali. I learned to play golf there. I had so much fun. And it was just, really, really interesting time. Opening a restaurant in somewhere like Dubai was interesting because opening restaurants in London was one thing because, the work ethic, the supply chain, everybody around you who is there to support you. And then you all of a sudden you're in a foreign land where you have to work with 4 or 5 different nationalities. So, we had everything from Filipinos to Indians to Pakistanis to Indonesians seemed to be the workforce. And then we had people from America, South Africa, Britain, all pushed into one hotel to make this hotel work. And it was quite a really interesting thing. You have to learn a lot about yourself. So, taking deep breaths when things aren't going right, learning how to control different types of temperament. People's work ethic is completely different. What people want from their job is completely different. So it was a really, really interesting time. I absolutely loved it. But after 3.5 years, my time was up, and Gordon asked me to come back to London to open up a restaurant called Maze in Grosvenor Square. It's where I won my first Michelin star. So after six months, I won the Michelin star at Maze. People still today say it was one of the most groundbreaking restaurants London has ever had. I didn't really see it that way because I was so engrossed in my day-to-day work that I just didn't see it as the most groundbreaking restaurant. But it fills me with pride when people stop me still today and tell me that. Very, very tricky restaurant to run. It was really, really busy, 7 days a week, lunch and dinner, no time to turn around. It was very, very stressful, barely any days off to start with. And then, but I always say that, a little bit of hard work never killed anybody. And I think it's extremely important to see how far you can push yourself physically and mentally in a job so when you do go alone, like we did in 2011 when we left Maze, that no matter what happens, you can do the hours, you can do the work, you can be dedicated to that business to make it work, because that, I'm afraid, is what it takes. And people don't sometimes give enough credit to business people on how important work ethic is, because if you look at anybody in the world who is successful, I can bet my bottom dollar that 90% of them is through hard work. And no matter what anybody says, they've had to put the hours in, they've had to put the dedication in, the hard work. People look at massive companies today like Apple. It started in a garage, right, in San Francisco somewhere. It was a dream, exactly what I spoke about before. It was 3 young kids in a garage building a company, what started from nothing, and then all of a sudden becomes one of the most powerful companies on the planet. That wasn't by luck. That was sheer hard work, determination, and dreams. And that's what it takes. For your business to be successful, you're going to have to make it part of your life. It has to be your lifestyle. Your partner, your wife, your husband, whatever it may be, has to buy into that. And together, you have to be a team to make that business work. And me and my wife are a team. We run the business together. We have our team around us. But ultimately, we're a team, and that's how we do it. Our whole family life is built and intertwined in our company. And we know the benefits of that is we get to live a better life than what we had before. But at the same time, it needs to be looked after. It's like a beautiful garden. If you don't nurture it, if you don't water it, if you don't trim it, if you don't look after it, if you don't weed it, plant new buds, plant new life into that garden, into that business, it'll never bloom into what you want it to be. If you just plant it and go on holiday and leave it for other people to look after it, it may survive, but it's never going to be the business you want it to be. It absolutely has to have you on it. So enough about me. I now have the social company, which has 40 restaurants around the world. We're going to start taking questions. So we've got Steve from YouTube Live. Hi, chef. Did you get an investor to start your business like many other chefs, or was it just yourself? Well, Steve, yes. The plan was to start a restaurant on our own. We had some savings, what we'd saved through different property deals. We had about £500,000, and then we found a restaurant. It was a bar actually. We found a bar what we wanted to convert into a restaurant on the edge of Mayfair. What is now Pollen Street Social. That restaurant cost 4.7 million to build, 2 million more than we wanted it to be. So we had to bring on an investor. We sold 25% of the company for the shortfall, and that business partner is still our business partner today in some part of the company. And without our business angel, it would have been a lot tougher to get off the ground. So if you can get a business angel, and the deal we cut was very, very simple. We get 25% of our company away. We made sure that they got their investment back before we took our investment back. Our business angel's done very well out of our company since, and we have a great relationship. And so that's basically how we did it. Phoebe from Instagram, direct message. Hi, Jason. What are the key strategies that you are currently working on to keep your business successful in the uncertain future? Well, Phoebe, unfortunately, no one has a magic wand. We have no idea what's around the corner. But one thing's for sure, it reverts back to what I said before, and that is sheer hard work, going back to the start again. And what we've done is, unfortunately, we used to have a workforce of 1,500 across the globe. We're now down to about 400. We have unfortunately had to let about 900 people go. We've still got people on furlough. We're bringing them back slowly. But we are having to build the company back up for the future of what that future is going to look like. The restaurants are now smaller brigade. Be able to protect the profit margin for us to be able to eventually reinvest back in our company in 6 months to a year's time, to be able to then build that workforce back up. Because right now, in these tough times, it's about protecting the business, and that's not just to be selfish. What that is if all business people out there don't protect the business, there will be no businesses in 12 months' time to continue to reinvest, to continue to expand, to be able to take more people back off furlough, take them back into work, to be able to rebuild again. And I believe with different governments' help from around the world to help people when they're out of work, in work, help businesses be able to pay people, not pay people, etc., I think is crucial to all of this. So Lewis from Twitter, direct message. What's the recipe of building a team that you're proud of? I think, building a team, you're only as good as your weakest link. I think it's very, very important to inspire them. You have to inspire them to have the same dream as you. So each one of our restaurants have a different dream. So, if you look at Pollen Street Social was a perfect example. It's to be one of the best restaurants in the world. That's our dream. If we get there, fantastic. If we don't, then we'll die trying. And I have to have people around me who share that same dream. So Stefan, the executive sommelier, he wants to be one of the best sommeliers in the world. George, who's our restaurant director, wants to be one of the best restaurant directors in the world. Our chef, Dale Bainbridge, eventually will go on and be hopefully also one of the best chefs in the world. That's you have to inspire these people to live the same dream as you. If you don't, then you'll just become frustrated. So I suppose, and then you look at Berners Tavern, which is more of a brasserie, which is an incredible brasserie. We want that to be an iconic London restaurant. So again, it's getting people to live the dream of that becoming bigger than us as individuals. So Berners Tavern has to become famous as a restaurant on its own, and it's our job to make sure it does that. Right. Steve from YouTube Live, Chef, is your restaurant in Cebu still open? Yes, Steve, it is still open. It's still on lockdown in Cebu in the Philippines. It's coming out of lockdown very soon, and we're going to partially start to reopen. It's been one of our little gems in our restaurant business. When my wife convinced me to open up out there, I was very shocked and surprised how successful that restaurant became. It's a beautiful design. It's a cool concept. And we turned it on its head. What was interesting about that restaurant was so many people out there were saying, oh, if you want to get good food, you've got to import it in. But my dream was to try and use local product, sell it at a price where people could afford to eat there on a regular basis rather than be a special occasion, and create this cool little, Filipino tapas joint using local ingredients, but in a European way. So it's like something you get in Soho. I just thought it'd be really cool. And we did it, and it worked. And it's now in the top 20, 30 restaurants in the Philippines, according to Tatler, which is sort of like the number one restaurant review out there. And long may it continue. Hassim from Twitter direct message. Good morning. How do you go about planning and building a menu for a restaurant, especially a new one? Well, no matter where you are in the world, Hassim, it's really important to follow the seasons. And that can be, rainy seasons in somewhere like Cebu and dry seasons. It can be in the UK where it's 4 seasons. Right now we're heavily game. We have a lot of game on the menu. We have a lot of winter fish like Dover sole and so forth, sea bass. And then, all the cabbages are on at the moment. In the summer, it'll be strawberries and light lettuces and consommes and chilled soups and stuff like that. So for me, you let the product dictate your menu. That's really important because whatever is fresh is best. And that's pretty much how we do it. And then what I try to do is I'll build a plate. I'll put 2 or 3 elements on a plate, and then I'll look at it, I'll taste it, make sure it's got the right amount of sweetness, saltiness, bitterness, texture. It's very important. And then once I've eaten it and I'm happy with the dish, I'll try and take something away. As crazy as that sounds, so I'll put it all on there. I want my food to be super simple, beautiful to the eye, and as little on the plate as possible, but to still achieve the depth of flavor and the texture what I want. So that's how I go about it. So Jasmine from Facebook Messenger, I was planning to start a restro bar business when the pandemic hit. Do you think it will be a viable business option once the pandemic is gone? Should I look at other businesses instead? Well, Jasmine, let me tell you this. If you're in our industry just to make money, it's extremely difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not trying to put you off, but you've got to, if you really want to, there's 2 things, right? You can be a chef where you're super passionate about the food, you're super passionate about pushing the food and all that type of stuff. Or you can be, the front of house more where hospitality is in your blood. Or you might be lucky enough like me where you feel both, right? But I get excited by giving people hospitality. So be able to cook beautiful food. It doesn't matter if I'm cooking it for my 1-year-old daughter. And recently she's just got into beautiful pureed cauliflower cheese, and she goes crazy for it. Our eyes light up, right? This is a form of hospitality because you're teaching somebody how to appreciate food. So if you're going to open up a business purely for profit and you've got money to invest, then potentially right now it's a very tricky business. But if your passion is hospitality, then go for it because it will give you so much joy when it does become successful, that it's a beautiful way of life, and you've just got to dig deep, keep your margins tight, watch every single penny, what's going out of your accounts and what's coming in. And it's a simple mathematic game. You look at what your business plan tells you think your customer base is going to be, how much money you're going to take from them, what your rent is, your rates is, etc., etc. And once you've done your mathematics, if you think you can make a profit, then go for it. Why not, right? Who knows what's going to happen? Jeff from Instagram direct message, did you pick any tricks or learnings early in life and your career which have been with you throughout your career? Yes, Jeff, actually I did. I certainly learned how to work hard, number one, and that'll stay with me till the day I die. Number two was to take my job seriously, and not just turn it on and off. It's constantly got to be with you. And then number three, I think I learned how to, one of the things what Gordon said was, I can teach anybody to be a head chef, but I can't teach everybody to be a real chef. And I think what he meant by that was, when you put food on a plate, presentation and what it looks like and what it eats like and where you place it on the plate is super important. That was something I learned along the way from working for some of the great chefs in the world. And it's still my strength today. I can look at a plate of food completely different to other people and present it. And then people say to me, oh my goodness, it's the same things, but how do you make it look like that? And I just think it's one of the tricks I learned along the way. And I spent a lot of time practicing that. Mariam from Twitter direct message. Hey, Jason, for someone like you who has business across the globe, how do you manage to keep your staff motivated in current scenario? Well, Mariam, I say thank goodness for Zoom. Actually, once all this is done, if I never do a Zoom call ever again, then I'll be a happy man. But right now, Zoom's my best friend. I do Zoom calls all over the world. I think it's really important that we have meetings with the guys in Dubai, we have meetings with the guys in Shanghai, Cebu, New York, and so forth. And we talk, what's really important is we talk about the future. We don't talk about what's going on right now. Of course, we have to glaze over it, but we talk about the future. It's really important to get people excited about what the future will hold, because if you don't, negativity can creep in, the darkness can creep in, and right now, mental health is as worse as it's ever been. And I think it's it's really important that it's my job as the leader of the company to keep everybody laser focused on what the future can hold, because it's really, really tricky right now, but I think it's really, really important. So I've got one here. Ian from Instagram, direct message. I loved the Chef's Brigade on BBC. How is working on television different from the restaurant business? It's really night and day, really, Ian. I mean, TV looks very exciting because you guys see the finished product. There's a lot of waiting around, a lot of drinking tea, a lot of eating bad snacks, and waiting for your turn to pop up and do your magic. But it's you can't buy that publicity for your business. I mean, I did Saturday Kitchen on Saturday, and you see the spike in the bookings go through, and it's really, really important. I think it's important not to get carried away with it. I mean, too many people have lost their careers because of it, because they all of a sudden get excited by TV and want to be the next big TV star. And I have always said that TV will choose you. You don't choose TV, because as a chef, the power is in your hands to be successful, because the more you train, the more you work hard, the more you concentrate on your business, the more successful you become. Whereas TV, you're relying on a TV producer, an executive director, the head of BBC, the head of Netflix, saying that I want this guy to do a TV show for me. And it might work, it might not work. And then the next guy comes along and you're forgotten about. That's just how it is. So I take it with a pinch of salt. I enjoy doing it. I only do certain things like Chef's Brigade, Saturday Kitchen, stuff what shows me as a real chef, not as a dancing clown on TV. That's not what I want to become. I'm a real chef. I always will be. I'm crazy about food. So yeah, it's completely different. Carmen from Facebook Messenger. Morning, Jason. How was it like working for Gordon Ramsay? It was tough. I mean, he's one of the biggest star chefs on the planet, a master of everything he sees. He's the best TV chef in the world, in my opinion. He's also one of the best chefs in the world, in my opinion. And I think it's incredible to see how a humble guy from a council estate in Scotland has gone on to be probably the richest chef on the planet. Not that we should measure success by money, but I think partly his empire is successful across the world. His life has taken on a whole new celebrity meaning, and I'm glad to have been part of that success story and to have learned from him. So yeah, it was really, really interesting working for him. What we got here? Leonard from Twitter direct message. Hi chef, how do you focus on the food preparation and customer experience as well as profit margins? Well, Leonard, I'm very lucky to have a wife who's an accountant, and she keeps the key to the account locked. So when I want to buy new plates, I have to ask permission. When I want to buy new, beautiful cutlery, I have to ask permission. And then but all joking on a real sense, we're a team. We have to protect profit margins because without profit, we don't have a business, right? And so we work extremely hard with Mo, our financial director, and Ira, my wife, to make sure that each restaurant makes profit in whatever shape or form that might be. And it's part of the job, right? I always say to my chefs, I know this is a restaurant, we call it a restaurant, but ultimately, take a restaurant away, what is it? It's a business, right? So it's important that it behaves like a business, and a business has to make profit. Otherwise, it's not a business anymore, and then it's not a restaurant. So I make sure that every single one of my chefs and managers behave like business people and understand that whatever they're doing, that they absolutely protect that margin. So Isabella from Instagram direct message, good morning. What's your favorite restaurant? One that you own. Well, Isabella, that has to be Pollen Street Social. They're all very close to my heart, but Pollen Street was where me and my wife risked our whole future life, and it's where I cook most days. I'm going there straight after this, and yeah, I think that's really, it's really important. Wayne from Facebook Messenger, are all your restaurants back in operation? How are you managing with a reduced team? Well, Wayne, we are. It's tough, because we've had to let people go who are close to me, who are friends. But we no longer have work for them. We've had to make sure that we are absolutely laser focused on protecting the business. We will automatically bring them back the minute business recovers. We're working on reduced capacity. The 10 p.m. curfew is not helping. But ultimately we've also got to get through COVID-19 safely. So yeah, it's very tough at the moment. So right. The poll results are in. We asked you, are you ready for this? Is your business on the path to recovery after the impact of the initial lockdown? 43% of you said yes, and 57% of you said no. So yes, if it's tough out there, right? For everybody, if there's a bit of advice I can give you, that poll says it all, right? 57% of you said no. And, that's heartbreaking to read, because a lot of businesses out there don't deserve to be in this position because they were viable businesses pre-COVID. What bit of advice I can give you is just please stay focused, concentrate, look after your business, don't become disheartened. This will be over at some point. I don't know when, because I don't know that information, but we will get through this. And together as business people, always remember why you went into business in the first place. And that was so you could realize your dreams. And dreams must exist, right? You have to have a dream. And that dream has to stay at the forefront of your mind. And if it doesn't work for this time around, for whatever reason, you have to start again. And then you go full throttle. And good times will always come again for the people who put the hard work and dedication in. And then you have to believe in yourself and believe in your results, because if they've worked once, they'll work again. And for the people who your business is back on track and it is working, the 43% of you, please be kind to the people who aren't having it so easy. Please be humble. Please respect the scenario we're in, and be kind. Right. So if you have any questions, and please get in touch with QuickBooks support team. And if you want to get in contact with me, send a direct message on Instagram @ Jason Atherton. Coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Arona, who is the managing director of Majors Accounts. Arona is an expert on financial digitalization strategy and has turned an established traditional practice into a digital one, utilizing technology to bring the accountant-client relationship much closer. Don't miss her show tomorrow. A reminder that if you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and businesses experts are on hand 24/7. It's been great answering your questions today, and I hope you have a great day.